Every morning, before Dad left for work, I'd sit at the kitchen table and watch my parents kiss goodbye. To my young eyes, it was a small gesture, but it meant the world. Then, one day, I noticed they stopped. I grew up the youngest of 3 girls in a middle-class Christian 2-parent household. 2 large families on both sides, 2 grandmothers who had 2 houses in 2 different country towns in the South. Although I grew up in a 2-parent house, I didn't realize until later that the absence of small gestures like a kiss goodbye, hearing "I love you," or even hugging planted a seed of uncertainty within me. When my parents' relationship shifted, my own sense of security began to unravel. I didn't know it then, but I started filling that void with external validation. As a girl, I was the epitome of confidence. I never compared myself to anyone else because I didn't need to. I was a high achiever. I thrived in accelerated programs, theater, and band, and was consistently praised for my accomplishments. But everything changed when I left for college. That's when I started to notice the void left by my parents' broken relationship. As a young adult, I suddenly found myself seeking validation in men through sex and relationships, trying to fill a space that had been created long before I even understood that it existed. I began chasing things I thought would define success, like racing down the aisle, joining prestigious organizations, striving to be a young professional with the perfect job, the perfect car, the polished suits, and the decked-out apartment. I was used to getting what I wanted and hearing, "Yes, congratulations, and well done." But something shifted. I started to feel like a failure whenever I heard "no," or "I don't think this is gonna work out," or "we regret to inform you, but..." For the first time in my life, things weren't coming as easily, so I strived for perfection. But no matter what I achieved or how much money I spent to look the part, I couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness. I realized that this pursuit of perfection and approval wasn't about competing with anyone else. It was me trying to fill a void left unaddressed, trying to prove to myself that I was still the girl who was always in the front of the line. But that was an impossible standard, and striving for it only left me more hollow than before. I've had many run-ins with rejection, which deepened that void. I was presented with an opportunity to be part of a sorority. I loved its rich Black history and was excited to contribute to it. The first time I applied, I was accepted, but due to unforeseen circumstances, the entire line was dropped. The second time, I had to choose between starting the process or attending a family function. I chose family, but deep down, I did not want to. I regretted it the moment I walked away, and that regret stayed with me. When I tried again a third time and wasn't selected, it was devastating. Being rejected by an organization I respected after I had already been chosen before felt like a slap in the face. I knew the sorority didn't define me, but hearing "no" from a place where I expected "yes" made me realize how deeply I craved validation and how lost I felt without it. I've experienced rejection in relationships. My high school sweetheart got engaged shortly after our relationship ended. It was a gut-wrenching moment and felt like confirmation that I wasn't good enough to be chosen. Another told me, "You know I'm gonna sleep with other people, right?" after I decided to be abstinent. I felt rejected for being true to my values. And another presented me with a ring, planned a wedding, then mere months prior to the wedding, told me he didn't fall in love with Amanda, he fell in love with the queen. Another slap in my face. There was a season where I was completely unsatisfied with everything. I wasn't happy in my relationships because they weren't progressing to marriage fast enough. I would jump ahead of God's timing, trying to manipulate situations to fit my own timeline. Once, when my boyfriend let me in on a secret about a surprise proposal being planned for my best friend, I was initially overjoyed for her, but that quickly turned into discontentment. When are you proposing to me, though? When are we getting married? These questions rang loudly in my head. I turned the conversation toward us, asking him about our wedding dates, trying to set a date for us before she had an opportunity to set her own. Discontentment had led me to jealousy and manipulation, a recipe for disaster and utter disappointment. It took several painful experiences for me to realize that discontentment was robbing me of the joy I could have had in all of those moments. I had to learn to be content where I was and trust that everything will happen in its own time. I had to let go of the need to control every outcome and trust that God's timing is better than mine. Only when I released my expectations did I truly start to find the real me, the me who was okay even when life didn't go as planned. Instead of fearing the void within me, I chose to confront that void. I learned to embrace my journey without comparing my timeline to anybody else's. I realized that forgiveness was more about setting myself free than letting others off the hook. I forgave my parents, my exes, and even myself for not being perfect because I finally understood that I didn't need to be. One day, while tussling with painful thoughts of how my former fiance left me, I suddenly saw big, bold letters flash across my eyes that said, "Paid in full." It looked just like the red stamp that you see on a bill. It was then that I realized he didn't owe me anything. I was bitter because I was trying to chase him down to pay a debt that he does not owe. He could never repay me for the time he wasted. He could never repay the gut-wrenching heartbreak I experienced. He could never silence the suicidal whispers that floated through my mind when he left. He could never give me my tears back, and he didn't have to. Jesus paid his debt in full, just like he's paid mine. So I had a choice: keep bulldozing my way through life like an angry debt collector, or free him and everyone else who I had trapped in my mental and emotional prison. So I chose freedom. From the ashes left from parts of my life that were burned down, I built the Queen's Guide to Life, a platform to help women own who and where they are in their journeys. Just like me, many women are trying to fill a void they can't quite name, and I want them to know they are not alone. I started Queen Camp Incorporated, where we teach leadership and life skills to young girls through the art and discipline of pageantry, helping them navigate their insecurities before they become lifelong obstacles. My name, Amanda, means worthy of love. All my life, I've tried to perform for love, thought I had to hide my true self or change who I was to receive love. And all the while, love is who I am. Amanda means worthy, deserving. I am deserving of love. I am deserving of support. I am deserving of wholeness. I am deserving of marriage and partnership with a man who values me. I am deserving of relationships that enhance me and do not drain me. I am worthy. When God created me, he put this gift of worthiness within me. I was searching for love and acceptance, and it's been here all along. Finding the real me meant letting go of every version of myself that was created from insecurity, rejection, or fear. It meant embracing the woman I'd been all along, the one who is worthy, whole, and enough. I met the real me when I stopped running from the void and finally embraced the parts of me I used to hide. Although I will forever be a work in process, I finally met my true self. And that woman is totally, authentically, irrevocably, unapologetically free. I met Amanda when I learned to let go of things outside of my control and find contentment in every circumstance. That's when I realized that I am and have always been more than enough. And so are you.